Hey guys, let's get started. So in this today's live streaming, we'll talk about how you can break into tech career. If you are struggling with tech interviews, resume preparation, and also if you need help with some sort of salary negotiation, you can talk again. So let's get started. So what I want to share at first, if you are struggling to land on a tech job, the main reason I can clearly say that there is a lot of layoff going on in the tech industry, and other companies also looking to fill their positions, but at the same time they could not able to find who are skilled candidate. So there is a I see there is a mismatch between the company expectation, what skills set they are looking for to hire, and also from the candidate perspective, they don't have enough skill set to show them or showcase their skill set. They would be available. So a couple of things I want to talk about at the beginning. So if you are looking for a tech job in this market, you need to be really visible. If you are not visible, then it's really hard to get noticed, right? And there are a lot of experienced candidates as well who are looking for software engineering career or also data scientist or any other engineering field. Couple of things to keep in mind when you are looking for a job. You need to write your resume in a way so that it can clearly convey your skill set based on the position what they're looking for. So I recently posted a video yesterday in YouTube. You can take a look at how you can use like N8 and automation to make sure you can use all those criteria from the job description and then update your resume in a way so that you will be at least get noticed. So when I talk about the resume part, a few things I want to make sure I will write in the screen as well. So for the resume, you want to make sure you should have like some sort of personal information at the beginning so that the recruiter or hiring manager knows how to contact you. Second thing, you want to focus on your professional summary, right? So this will be your I would say 30-second rundown of your whole career. So you, in your professional summary, you want to make sure you write all the necessary skills so that the recruiters or hiring managers, they get some sort of pretty good idea why they should talk to you, right? So in my professional summary, I want to focus on how many years of experience do I have, what are the skill set I learned over the years, that's 13 or 14 years, how much value I can bring to the table for this new company. And you want to link your previous academic skill set and also at the same time the personal projects, the previous employment, how all those tie back to the position you are applying. If you can't do that, most likely uh, most of the people will discard your resume, or basically they will move on to the new resume, right? So I would want to focus on this is your like 30 to 40 seconds like elevator pitch where the recruiters or hiring managers, they need to be convinced that they should look into your resume. So after the professional summary, you should focus on your skill set part. So I typically write on skill set, and in the skill set I want to focus on like five to six like skills which you are like most comfortable with, right? And there are a few things you need to make sure that when you are writing skills, don't like write too many skills in your resume, because if you write too many skills, what will happen actually, um, people will not get better idea why they should talk to you, not the other people. So I always want to focus on actually you write the skills which is necessary for the job. At the same time, you want to make sure this clearly conveys your mastery in those skill set, right? So if you are looking for backend, I typically write like Java, Python. Those are my two best skill set. And then if you are applying for cloud related software engineering role, you can focus on like either AWS, whatever you are most comfortable with, right? Either AWS, Azure, GCP, any of them, right? And I also want to focus on like the different types of software engineering. So if I'm like applying, if I want to focus on the full stack part. I want to also write like JavaScript or TypeScript, whatever you are most comfortable with in the front end side, right? And focus on the memory part as well. So it can be like SQL database, NoSQL database, any sort of database you are comfortable with. It can be Oracle, it can be MySQL, it can be other sort of database, which gives you some sort of idea that actually you are well versed in software engineering. So think about in a way that when you are designing a software, you will need a front end, you will need a back end, and you will need to parse those data, right? So there are three things. One is actually what you are like most comfortable in the front end side, what you are most comfortable in the back end side, and also how to store those data, parse those data. And nowadays it's really important to deploy all these things into some sort of cloud environment like AWS, Azure, or GCP. So if you can write that down, that will also add some points in your resume. When you are writing some sort of employment or projects in your resume, focus on few things, right? So don't just write all the employment you had, right? So if you're applying for backend, you want to showcase your backend skills more than any other skill set, right? And in the employment part, when you are doing that, in the employment projects part, so try to write like in a reverse chronological order so that people will get your most recent experience first, then go down to the road. And then when you are writing each project, for each project, focus on few things, right? So what are the things you should focus on? At least what did you do? Like general introduction about the projects. Then you want to write what was your personal accomplishment, right? And some sort of measurable metric. So let's talk about in detail. So introduction about the projects. Here you want to write what is like 2-line summary about the project. What did you build? Did you build a website? Did you implement a microservice architecture for distributed cloud applications? Here you don't want to go into more detail. It's the 2-line way to understand that actually the non-technical people understand what did you do in those projects. In the next step, you want to write like some sort of personal accomplishment. That means what did you personally do? Did you solve a really challenging problem during doing this software engineering projects, right? And some people always write like the team accomplishment, which is not ideal, because someone is reviewing a resume, they want to make sure they are hiring you individually, not the team. So you want to make sure that you have some sort of personal accomplishment written in your resume. And let's talk about measurable metric. In the measurable metric part, I want to focus on a few things. One is actually, is there any revenue or actually sales growth for the company, right? Or maybe you can talk about a few other things as well, like actually runtime complexity or space complexity, or even maybe actually growth criteria like number of like customers, number of clients. So did you reduce any cost, right? Did you help the company to make more profit? These are the things you should focus on when you are writing in your resume for the tech jobs. People ask me actually how long should be your resume. The suggestion I always talk about that if you have less than 5 years of experience, you want to focus on only one-page resume, because if you can concise all these things into one page, most likely what will happen that people will be skim through your resume and get enough context from your resume. And if you have more than 5 years of experience, I would suggest for each year, new year of experience, you should want to add like one page, right? So for example, if you have 10 years of experience, most likely you should put everything down in actually 2-page resume. So that's the resume part. So I see a lot of people struggling with nowadays in the tech career, that actually after the resume, how to talk to the recruiters or hiring manager for their initial call. So let's talk about your initial call, right? So when you are talking to recruiters or hiring manager for your initial call, you want to focus on like on a high level how your skill set matches to the company you are applying. So basically what you want to do, you want to do a match between your skill set with company's requirement, right? Job requirement. So you need to do a little bit of research before doing this one. You need to know actually what is the company products, right? So if you are applying for example, Microsoft, you need to know what are the product they work on. So do they have like enterprise software, Office 365, or actually you are applying for the position where like Azure cloud computing, all those scenarios, right? So you need to be really comfortable answering all these questions about company products. And most of the companies always ask actually, why are you interested in this company? Because if you're applying for Microsoft, they want to hire like really passionate people. If you want to apply for other companies, they want to see that did you use their product day to day life, right? Because if you can are already familiar about the product what they are building, then they don't need to worry about teaching you or actually onboarding you to the things what they are looking for, right? So obviously, learn more about the company product, learn about actually the team you are interviewing for, what is the team structure, what they are building, right? So basically team products, right? So specifically if you're applying for like Azure, what the Azure specific product they are building, right? So you need to make sure you understand that one. And finally, what you want to do based on your skill set, how it matches to the product or team you are applying. So if you're applying for backend role, you want to make sure, oh, I build this type of microservice architecture backend distributed application in the past, and I would be really available to build all this kind of new product or services you guys want to offer, right? So that's what you want to focus on. So one thing I always talk about, how can you prepare better? So look into the leadership principles. Amazon leadership principle is a good place to start. So what you want to do actually in the Amazon leadership principle, look into their 16 leadership principles, right? You can Google it, you'll find. So when you are preparing for these interview preparation for the leadership principles, I would suggest write actually what projects you want to talk about and create a table, right? So in that table, what you want to do actually, what project you want to talk about and what leadership principle you want to talk about, right? So at the beginning, for example, I'll give you an example. So let's write leadership principle first, and then project you want to talk about, and then you want to focus on few things like star format. Star is situation, task, action, and results. So that's what actually you want to create a table. And what it does basically, so for example, we talk about Amazon leadership principle. One of them might be customer obsession, right? So you are talking about customer obsession, right? So maybe you want to talk about your school projects, right? So maybe you build a microservice app, right? What you want to do, you want to generate this table in a way so that actually what was the situation, what did you build, what was the action did you take, what is the, you want to focus on, you build a backend applications, you want to talk about what the specific task you did, and then the action and also the results. If you can generate this table before your interview, that will really help you actually to talk about all the things what you learned, or actually convince the other people to talk to you more, because you need to be really comfortable answering all these hard questions. People will ask you, oh, you build a microservice architecture, what was the runtime complexity, maybe what was the persistent storage did you use like SQL database, no SQL database, what does the front end look like, what was the query per second, right, QPS, did you have any problem with the latency? You want to answer those questions. If you create these tables, that will be really helpful to better understand, to answer all these questions. Let's talk about the tech screening part. So when you got an interview call and then you have an interview with the tech screening, in the tech screening, most likely they will talk about the project intro. That's one thing. Same thing, a little bit similar to the previous one, but in the tech screening, they want to focus on, do you have necessary skills, these technical skills. So that should be some sort of coding problem. And when you are solving coding problem, focus on at least when you are solving some sort of lead code type problem, medium. So you need to solve at least, I would suggest at least 50 problems, right? Different types of lead code, medium type problem. And just to get familiar how to actually write code, because if you are not comfortable writing code, it's really hard to get land on a software engineering job. So your day-to-day life will be writing code as a software engineer. So focus on those areas as well. And when it's be a final on-site loop, so let's talk about what are the basic framework typically they use. So typically in the final on-site loop, you will get like 2 coding questions. So this will be similar to like take a screening. Most likely one system design if you are interviewing for like low level, either is entry level software engineering position or mid level software engineering position. Another one is behavior, and this behavioral most likely similar to the Amazon leadership principle. So if you practice well, you'll be able to answer this question. One caveat is there one system design questions if you are applying for like principal level software engineering positions or staff level, right? So sometimes you will have actually 2 system design questions. So this is the typical looks like how to interview all these steps in a tech interview. So let's talk about few other things like how to get more interviews. I would suggest apply more. And before even applying, you need to think about few other criterias. If you want to get more interviews, you need to update your resume in a way people get more understanding that you would be a good fit, right? That's one thing. If you are transitioning to tech career, then I want you to focus on more on the like building personal projects. You need to have some sort of personal project where people can get understanding that what you have done before and how you would be valuable for the company you are applying. Use your like diverse skill set. If you are coming from like HR background, if you're coming from, I would say, sales background, right? Focus on how you can add value in those areas, previous skill set, and how the company would be really valuable. Because think about it, if you have really good sales and marketing experience in the past and you are learning how to code, the good thing is that when you talk to the customer, when you talk to the other team member, or actually when you even talk to the like sister teams, you have like better understanding how to talk to them well, right? If you have sales and marketing experience, right? If you are coming from finance background or accounting background, that means you are very good at number already, right? You know how to talk about through based on like revenue or actually profit, right? That's a good thing for the software engineer, because in day-to-day life, if you are like moving through more leadership role or actually like principal or staff level software engineering positions, you will need to understand how to measure your impact. If you don't know how to measure your impact, it's really hard to land on a job. So these are the things I would suggest, focus on those areas. The technology landscape is changing because when OpenAI came up with all this chat GPT, or and all the other companies also focusing on more large language model, nowadays you can do so much more using like some sort of IDEs. You can use other tools as well, right? So most of the large language model nowadays can write, like if you give them clear instruction, they can write the whole code for you or whole projects for you. So focus on those areas, right? So I would suggest, if you are in the industry or if you want to spend more time in the tech industry, focus on how you can leverage those technology, because leveraging those technology help you a lot in the way that what machine can do and what value you can bring at the same time, right? Because if you don't know how much value you bring, it will be really hard to convince others to get a promotion later down the line, right? Because most of the companies, they want to hire people who already experienced, who actually can do more using the current technology. So if you know how to use like Cloud AI, Cursor AI, right? If you know how to use like all those IDEs to write faster code, and also make sure you write code which is less bug, right? So you want to make sure the code is well tested. And I see a lot of people nowadays, they want to use some sort of like AI tool and then act like a programmer, right? But even if you are using AI tool, make sure you understand what's going on behind that curtain, right? So you can ask all this, build a project or website or like microservice architecture, build using Cursor AI, and you can build a whole applications in 30 minutes, right? But if something breaks, if you can't fix it, if you don't know how to debug those applications, it will be no use, right? Because in production level, when you are deploying an app, it can be app store like iOS or Android app store, right? Or maybe you are trying to deploy an web applications, right? If you don't know how to debug all these like vibe coded app, there is no value, right? Because software will break, and if you don't know how to fix it, you need to hire someone to fix it, right? So that's not a good user of time if you even using all these things in detail, just using AI tool. So you need to understand what's going behind the curtain. You need to understand all the steps. And most of the time, the AI tools, they are very good at building all these things using like more generic software. So I would suggest most of the time you will see that these AI tools will use like you need only 2 files, it will generate like 8 or 9 files, right? So they will write a lot of unnecessary code to make things happen, right? So, and you need to understand that, don't wait till actually you need to clean up these details. So when you are adding new file, even like in Cursor AI, make sure, oh, do you need this file? Do you need this environment file? Do you need this testing file? What they are writing like 100 lines of code, which you can do it in like 2 lines, right? So look into your code and don't let this AI IDs like get out of control, because it's really hard to figure out later after you are done with all of your things, right? Those are the things I would suggest. And then you try to use AI tools as much as possible. Try to learn all the nuances, because that will be your selling point. That is the thing you want to make sure you understand well. That will help you a lot, right? Those are the things I wanted to cover in this live streaming, but feel free to write if you have any questions in the chat, and then I will be happy to answer anything. But focus on like in the technical field, since these are changing rapidly. You want to make sure you are on top of your game. If you are not, then it's really hard to stand out. That's the one thing I wanted to add there. But yeah, so if you have any questions, try to put in the chat section on, then I will be happy to answer these questions, and I'll be here for a few minutes and then answer anything if you have.